Greetings and good afternoon or good evening, everyone, wherever you are at, and welcome to the Ambassador Delenn and another installment of the Council of One's Babylon 5 review. And with me today, I've got my two fellow council members, Mountains of Elysium, and our long-lost member. We've missed him, but we're glad he is here today, Zod Rider. And we are still waiting on Lord Kojay and Fiona Wolf. So whenever they get in here, we'll get them. And speak of the devil. Here is Lord Kojay.
Hey,
there he is. What's up, man?
Greeting.
Hey, Kojay.
Speak
glad
of the
to be
devil,
here.
and
Just
he
ended
shall
work at
appear.
MedLab.
Yeah.
I wonder if we speak some names of Lotto win. Will that work?
Oh, someone gonna win? Let's
I
do
know we were mentioning names. We'll see if it works.
Oh my goodness. Well, gentlemen, good to have you all here. Glad to be back this week. And we're coming down off a little bit of a high from last week with Severed Dreams, and we're going to be discussing today Ceremonies of Light and Dark. And this is actually, I think, is a very good take a breath and breathe episode in a lot of ways for the fact of all the action from last week's episode and over the last several weeks. With the episodes that we have been discussing, but this one has just as much packed into it as anything else we've discussed. So that all being said, everybody make sure you smash the ever-loving heck out of that like button. Share this out with your friends, and if you are a first-time visitor, whether you're lurking or whatever the case may be, if you enjoy the discussion, consider hit that subscribe button. So that all being said, gentlemen, let us dig in. Ceremonies of Light and Dark.
Where do we begin?
Well, I swear, if somebody says let's start at the beginning, I'm going to nuke them into oblivion.
Well, let's just say that this episode gives us even more reason to hate the Night Watch. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, don't get me started.
Let's start. I hate the Night Watch.
Yeah, let's talk about the group everybody loves to hate, the Night Watch. What a bunch of greasy, disgusting, nasty scumbags.
Oh yeah.
Makes your skin crawl, particularly that one guy that's got the screwed up face.
Oh man, the organized hate groups just in general are like they're the greatest villain in my book.
It's like their evil is transparent and just gets worse and worse in every iteration, in every episode. It's like Night Watch is just like it's so close to it's like the space equivalent of like Nazi Germany. The beginning of Nazi Germany.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, go ahead, Elysium, please.
I was wondering about crews like the Night Watch. We see like the guy, he's just known as Sniper. I never see him as evil. I see him as someone who's really broken by the Minbari War, who completely crazy. But Boggs is evil. And you see in organizations like that how evil men like Boggs manipulate people who are probably good to begin with, like Sniper, into becoming evil and twisted and using that messed up to make things even worse. So it goes like, Night Watch is evil, but it contains people who are, many of them are misguided. And you see Boggs leading them all astray, cheering them on, we're going to kill, we're going to maim. And it's a good thing. He's telling them what they're doing is good. So you can see how people can be twisted into doing the wrong thing, then being so far in they can't escape.
And I think that's how these evil organizations operate, because I really believe few people give in to evil practices. So the ones who are leading the pack are usually the ones committed to the heinous acts and belief systems, and they aim to influence mostly out of fear, and there are many elements of fear, to get that allegiance and empowerment of their supporters. So, I really feel like, you know, evil is like a like essentially everyone is good. It's just that when people, it's like drugs. If they get addicted to a certain destructive thing, that starts to become them. So I feel like a lot of people who do join Night Watch or any like prejudice hate groups, they're either completely committed to it, or they're like manipulated, or they're lost, or they're trying to figure things out, and you know, and they start unfortunately at the worst place, and they're all at different levels.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the thing for me about Night Watch is, particularly with the character of Boggs, this is a guy who has just completely chugged every drop of Kool-Aid that he can possibly get his hands on, is just completely on board with bringing down Sheridan, bringing down everybody that's decent and upright, and is just hell-bent on getting his way. And, you know, this episode for me is honestly, there are parts of it that are somewhat difficult to watch, because I don't like seeing people being tortured. I don't like seeing people being bent to another person's will, because that for me is just vile. It's absolutely positively vile. And these are the last bunch of Night Watch holdouts that they weren't able to capture or get shipped off the station. And it just, this pack of guys or people just makes my blood boil and my skin crawl all at the same time. I mean, speaking for myself, towards the end of the episode, when they finally locate him and Sheridan's chasing down, I think it's Boggs, and Sheridan just absolutely waylays the guy. And personally, I wouldn't have blamed if he had gone a little bit further, but the show has a certain rating, so I get it.
Yeah.
But I think in this episode, Sheridan really encapsulates my feelings about people who are manipulative, people who are depraved, people who are without a moral center, and who will do anything and everything just to advance their own self or back their own agenda. And I find that reprehensible. So, but those are my thoughts, gentlemen. Anything in particular that I said that you might want to piggyback on?
I want to applaud you. I agree. You guys?
Yeah, I agree too.
So, Elysium, what about you? Any thoughts? Elysium's muted. He might be busy. Well,
okay.
I
Okay.
didn't realize I was muted. I was talking.
Oh no!
That's okay. Go ahead, man. You're fine.
No, I did that at a meeting at work. I didn't realize I timed out the Zoom meeting, and I was talking away, giving a demonstration, and I just wondered, where the hell is everyone? That's the second time today I've done it.
Well,
Oh Lord.
Okay. All right. Here is one thing that I want to bring up. It's kind of a goofier point that is more serious, just to kind of balance things out. Garibaldi's entry from Severed Dreams going into this episode. And at the end of the episode, Severed Dreams, he was using a cane. In this episode, he's got an arm brace. Can we say continuity error?
Yeah.
Well,
That
I kind of forgive a little bit.
I know.
That was down to real world things happening. I actually have it in my notes. In the last one, he was supposed to be wounded leg, but he broke his arm between shooting that week, and he had to be in a cast. So they said, let's just pretend it was always his arm. I think that was in JMS mentioned it in the Lurker's Guide.
Oh man, I had a better one. I was thinking, because he's very stubborn. He, like, we saw him before. Like, he's like one of those, like, he's like, yeah, it's no big deal. He like lies to Franklin of like some areas don't really hurt when they actually do. So
'Tis but a flesh
when I
wound.
saw it, yeah, exactly. When I saw it, I thought that he had like pinched a nerve or tweaked his arm, and he was ignoring it. And Franklin's like, no, if you don't ignore it, it's going to get worse. All right, you've lied to me before. I'm going to put you in a sling. So that's how I always kind of rationalized it in my head that Franklin made him do it, but I guess not.
Well, and once again, one of the command staff gets injured because Avava, or, well, Claudia Christian, got her leg messed up. And Mr. Garibaldi messed up his arm. Way to go. Y'all are accident prone as all hell. Just shows they're human.
Yeah,
I think Claudia Christian was chasing a bird or something like that. There was some weird story that she was chasing a bird or chasing an animal around her backyard and tripped, and that's how she broke her leg.
Oh, dang.
Wow. Man,
It was
I thought it was
a
actually...
commentary on one of the episodes.
Oh, man. All these things offset.
Well, anyway, getting back into the episode, the whole idea of Ambassador Delenn wanting to go through with this ceremony to kind of reconcile everything that's been going on with the crew of with the command staff, and everybody keeps shooting her down. They're like, and even Lanier says, I think it's Lanier that says, "Hey, other people are these people are in the middle of doing other things. They may not necessarily have time for this."
Mm.
And of course, we get the whole kidnapping plot with Delenn and the Night Watch gang. And I was like, Delenn, your heart's in the right place, but your timing stinks. Just saying. So, fellas,
that's actually a really valid point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing I can say about Delenn. It's like most of the time her heart is in the right place. But you know what? We really need to talk about Lord Rifa. Oh my God.
Well, before we do, I want to add to it because I believe in what you said. I think Delenn's heart is in the right place, but also I believe her timing is actually right. I think sometimes we get swept away with all the things we have to do. We don't really have enough energy or time to consider we need to make time to, even just for 30 minutes, to do something that would put a pause on things and help us stay back, look at the big picture. And I think her ceremony of rebirth was that. And I feel that for her, she believes it needed to happen to commit to a rebirth. And in the end of the episode, when everything's saved, everyone's like, man, we got to do this for her. It means a lot to her. But at the end, they're like, we got these sexy new suits and everyone's feeling really good. Sheridan's wearing a suit now because he refused to wear the jacket from last one, rightfully so. And these are it kind of brings up morale. So I think in a way, Delenn's timing is right.
The suit turns them into superheroes. Like
hell yeah, man!
It's just kind of like it has the same effect. It had the same effect for me as when you see, for example, Superman come out in the Black Justice League in the black suit.
I hate you. I was going to say it.
But it's that importance. Like if sometimes we need to take a break and commit to whatever beautiful change is going on, so we could face the future a lot stronger.
I mean, you talk about a change, and you talk about a form of like a change and a form of rebirth in a way that we really, the show really needed at that point. It's like they needed to shred that, that stress and that nonsense of what Earth Force is all about. I mean, at this point, I'm excited. I think the episode really brings out a lot of change and sets the stage for all the great stuff we know we're about to get into. And like I said, the suit actually is actually a great representation of all of that as a whole.
I actually like that Sheridan is the busiest, yet he was the first to basically sign up. You could see he was like, yeah, I got a lot on. And he had to organize ceremonies of his own. But he was the first pretty much to sign up. And I like that about, and from what you're saying, yes, he was so busy. He took time for Delenn to help her through this process.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and you know, the thing for me is the thing for me is with Delenn and Lanier trying to put together this ceremony. She does this for the entire crew, but I think she also feels that John needs it most of all because he has been the most wounded by this entire situation. And it's almost like she's trying to reach out and say, "Hey, I understand what you're going through because I've gone through something similar." Because if you think about this, Delenn has lost just as much as John has in a lot of ways.
With the Great Council, her people.
Yeah, exactly, because she has been cut off.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll bring up your third one's comment here. Delenn thinks she's the second coming or something, foreshadowing for the next season. Yeah, with Garibaldi talking, well, a altered Garibaldi talking about John after he returns from Zahadum. So, but you know,
she is the one who is.
Yeah, because the one who was has passed beyond the rim now, or gone back in time.
And while Sheridan is the one who will be.
Exactly. Now, I will say, and Zod, I hate the fact that you beat me to it. The suit makes the man, or makes the person. And I will say, I love the design of the new command staff's uniforms. I really do. And there's a simple elegance to them. You could tell the Minbari designed them. And I love the fact that it's got on the one sleeve, it's got the insignia of the Rangers, and it's very simplistic. It almost reminds me of another great iconic suit of clothing, and that is, of course, Luke Skywalker's uniform from Return of the Jedi.
Yep, and they both share a design where there's like this gray triangle or a slip or a unbuttoned sleeve kind of thing on that suit, just like Return Jedi's Luke Skywalker.
Well, the thing about Luke's is the front panel of his shirt actually opened up that way. So that's where that come from. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they took a little bit of inspiration from Luke's uniform. To be honest with you, from Jedi.
I mean, definitely. I feel you.
This is Straczynski. But Zod, you brought up Lord Rifa, so let's dig into our least favorite Centauri.
He's my second. Cartagia is the first I don't like. No offense, Mountains.
How dare you?
Yeah.
I like Mountains Cartagia. I don't like Centauri Prime Cartagia. How's that?
And just real quick to the chat, William Jackson, it is good to see you, and thanks for the comment. I try. So, Zod, you brought up Lord Rifa. The floor is yours. Go for it.
Well, I just think that he's like, I don't really know why he's still alive at this point. I kind of felt like as a character, he'd be one of the first to go. I mean, essentially, I don't know. I always thought when I first seen him on the series with the way that he was and his sleaziness and stuff, I kind of thought that they were going to have Cartagia kill him.
Oh,
Out of like some sort of weird weird thing where he'll say something offensive and then Cartagia just kills him. I don't know. I just when you see him in this episode, it doesn't make you like him anymore. It makes him even more. It even makes him more less appealing. And I don't know if I think he's necessarily a good villain, or if he's just misunderstood. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I found that it was amusing to see him and Londo. I mean, Rifa believes he is really intelligent, and then Londo just shows him how low on the totem pole he really is. He said,
I think that's what the point was, yeah.
And like he told him, I've already poisoned you. I think I've given you the opportunity. Now you're going to face the consequence of choosing the wrong path.
I wonder if Londo actually really poisoned him, though. That was my thing, because you could just tell somebody that and it psychologically messes with you. But did he really poison him? I don't know.
I think he did.
And I think he did too.
Yeah, but I think he did too.
Then I remember, was it Sinclair told Jakar that he had poisoned him, but he hadn't. He said they're gonna spend so much time looking for that bug that it'll be really unpleasant. And he did it just to mess with him. But I do believe Londo did it to, yes, I'm going to actually need something here to get him.
Exactly, because I think if it was a joke, they would totally use it, because they would find a great reveal to do that. They would let us know. But if not, usually if they say they poison him, I'm like, well, yep, you did. Just like you explained.
Well, and the other thing is, Londo says it perfectly. If we are going back to the old ways, well, poison was a favorite tool in the old days of the early days of the Republic. So I got here first.
And I like that because Rifa, I feel a lot of people still look down on Londo's position because his position was a joke, and this is an opportunity for Londo to keep his resources in check and to move him on top of the totem pole, because it looked like Rifa and him had like a 50-50 relationship, but I think Rifa just didn't think much of Londo at all, so he figured Londo would not even have the fortitude to go this far. So I think he surprised him in a good way for Londo, because Londo was being looked down, even though it's a jerk Rifa.
Well, here's the thing. Londo was trying to distance the Centauri away from the shadows, and from Mr. Morden in particular. And Rifa, of course, being Rifa, all he sees is opportunity to snatch power. And he doesn't give two wits about the consequences of his actions. So he's going to be like, to hell with the consequences. I see a tool. I'm going to use it regardless of what may happen to my people. I'm out for me and number one, and nothing else matters. I mean, let's be candid. Londo did care about the Centauri.
Always. I think that's the difference between them, that Londo is looking out for the Centauri, though he believes he should be in power to do it, but he's doing it not for completely selfish reasons. But Rifa, like, what was the quote he said? He walked away from the greatest power I've ever seen, and they will put me on the throne. And that was Rifa. He didn't care how he used it or how he got there, as long as he came out on top.
Yep.
And hey, just real quick, Elysium, if you see this fella pop up again, and that goes to any of the mods, you have my leave. Time him out. And real quick to the chat, Moira Kitty, good to see you, Mess, and glad you're here. We missed you, and glad you're here today. So, but yeah, honestly, as I started to say, Londo did care about the Republic. However, Rifa only saw the Republic as a tool to get what he wanted, and to hell with everything else.
Exactly.
And
I think that's why also... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, go, Jay. You're fine.
Oh, I think that's why he didn't kill him straight out or get rid of him, because if he got rid of him, he'd lose Rifa as like the leadership he's established, because if he would kill him, another person would take his spot and then do business with Morden and the shadows. So he needs to use his resources to get everyone to move away from the shadows. And he knows he needs Rifa's selfish power for that. And he could trust that if he threatens Rifa. If he threatens like the people, Rifa wouldn't care because he doesn't care about the people. So I think Londo making that step, even though it's bad guys dealing with bad guys, was more of a good thing for Londo to do. To help the Centauri.
Yeah, because Malari was trying to do what was best for the people, but he was trying to do what would get him along as well. I mean,
hey, win-win.
Yeah, win-win. But here's the thing, and I've said this in the video I did on Londo a couple of years ago. I see him as a tragic figure because his speech to Morden back in season 1 or season 2. I want to see our people return to their place in the galaxy, in the universe, whichever way he says it.
Mm-hmm.
And you believe him. But but this is a guy who has a conscience. But unfortunately, the course of events accelerates out of control before he can put the brakes on and get his people out of harm's way. And unfortunately, he leads his people into more harm than good, sadly. Yeah. Even though through Veer's actions, mild spoiler warning, Veer becomes emperor after Londo's dead. Veer does course correct in a major way and does bring the Centauri back into a position of respect within the galaxy and within the Interstellar Alliance. So, I personally, I don't dislike Londo, but sometimes he just makes the wrong decision. Yeah. Like I said, he's kind of a tragic figure, and that's
absolutely, he's a tragic figure, and a lot of the stuff that he does ultimately isn't his choice anymore because he's kind of gone to past the point of no return. So
yeah, kind of like in the episode we discussed a few weeks ago. So
yeah, and I think Londo's lowest point is actually in the next episode with Sick Transit Fear, where he's just praising the crazy that comes to marry Fear. Oh no, yeah, I culled a herd. Oh yes, that's a wonderful Centauri. And so yeah, Londo's on the journey. And I think his first step, one of his steps towards the light, is where he deals with Rifa. But he still has a few more steps to take to turn. And yeah, I just think it was, just going back slightly, it was the look on Rifa's face when he realized he'd been played. Priceless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, if it was me, I would not do anything. I would do something very similar. Because, well, if I've got someone who I know is trying to do ill to people I care about, I'm going to use means that I feel are moral and ethical to get their attention. And I think that was the biggest thing for Londo. I don't think Londo ever had the intention of necessarily killing Rifa until he's absolutely given no other choice. But I think the whole poisoning thing was to get Rifa's attention. And then when that didn't work, like we'll see in a few episodes with And the Rock Cried Out, Londo's like, you've left me no other choice. So, and I'll bring up William's comment here. So 8% of it's out of his hands, which acknowledges his light and dark humor. Yeah, William, very astute comment there, man. Thank you. So, go ahead, Lisa. Please.
I said I'm thinking Londo keeps Rifa alive because Rifa is like a bottom feeder. He'll deal with others who are problems in the Centauri court. Londo just has to keep his foot on Rifa's neck and Rifa will try and stop anyone else rising to his position. So by keeping Rifa alive, Lando's actually covering a lot more bases. He knows Rifa. There may be others in the court he mightn't have as much on. So I think it's really wise Lando not to kill Rifa at this stage.
Yeah, those are those resources. Unless Lando has access to those resources on his own later on, which I believe he does with his influence as it grows, he needs Rifa for that. Otherwise, he'll lose his influence in the Centauri court. I also don't like Lando how he rejected Delenn when she was telling the ceremony to him. It kind of reflects that that kind of role Lando plays into, because like in season 1 when he's more like I would say more honest with others, like he was telling Adira like there's masks they all have to wear. And whenever he's with Rifa and doing his dealings with Centauri and with the shadows, I feel like he's buying into a part he has predetermined to play into. It's like he's trying to play the part of, and he's kind of embraced it too, to play the certain persona and part of like aggression to maintain his power. Like it's part of the power that goes into it with dealing with Rifa, doing these poisoning tactics, So when Delenn and Lanier are telling him about the ceremony of giving away something of value and telling a secret and all this stuff, those are like all the things that threaten that persona of success for the Centauri court and him, or how the Centauri is supposed to be in his mind, the old ways. Mm-hmm. So, and it's kind of weird because it's like we see Veer's like the future of the positive hope of the Centauri, and then Lando is still gravitating to the past because for all he knows that's his only way to success. And it's just kind of disheartening seeing him go on this path right here in season 3 even more at this point in time.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think the title of this episode is very apropos, as often it is with Straczynski and how he titles his episodes, because Lando is going through a series of ceremonies, quote unquote, that would be perceived as very dark, as is Night Watch. But with Delenn and the Command Council and so on, they're going through a series of ceremonies that are very enlightening or illuminating. Let's put it that way. And I will say this is honestly one of my other favorite scenes in the series is when Marcus is in that seedy bar and everything, and down below or whatever. And he's trying to locate Delenn after Night Watch has kidnapped her and the commander of the Minbari cruiser. And this is a scene I absolutely positively love because the exchange between Marcus and Lanier is very powerful and very poignant. Because you see just how skilled a ranger alone can kick some ass. Let's put it that way. And Marcus is the only one standing, and Lanier walks in and he's like, "We did train you all very, very well." and Lanier goes, "Are you coming to the ceremony?" And Marcus is like, I'm trying to find Delenn and the captain, and you're worried about a ceremony?"
I loved the line is that they used to say, "I have a lot of repressed anger. I'm not repressed anymore."
Yes, I love that. I love that exchange. And just a real quick shout to the chat, William, Jeff B. It has been a long time. I don't know if you've just been lurking or you have missed, but it's good to see your face. It's good to see your name in the chat. Glad you're here. And Moira, to answer your question, you may have gone. I can't remember if you did have a wrench once upon a time, but welcome back to the Ambassador mods. Glad to have you back on board. And I'll bring up Beer 31's comment here as well. Bugger, now I have to wait for somebody to wake up. But there's one moment.
I'm just remembering that one. Give me a break, please. Yes, an arm, a leg, a finger.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, anyway, dang it, stop that, go away. The thing I found very funny, or I found very poignant, was when Lanier is like, "Do not ever touch me in that manner again."
mm-hmm.
And he's like, what I feel is cannot be codified as love for Delenn, but is a very deep and a very powerful emotion that I have for her. And I love the fact that Lanier shows restraint, even though you could sense that he could have wrecked Marcus, even as well trained as Marcus is. And honestly, I love the fact that this harkens back to a very old plot device in medieval literature. And it's called the concept of courtly love. It's something that you saw particularly in the Arthurian legends, particularly between Lancelot and Guinevere. And you see it here with Lanier and Delenn. Delenn is the noble lady. Lanier is the one that pines for her. And I think honestly that is something that's awesome. So, gentlemen, any thoughts on that? Or if it's something you're familiar with, if not, I can elaborate a little bit further. And just
no, definitely. Definitely, because in Indian culture we have a courting system too. Mm-hmm. That's both in the young and older generations, and there's many different ways to go about that. And I totally see that with that whole night thing. And I kind of want to elaborate, also piggyback off what you said with the Lanier doing restraint. I think that's like his tragedy. He's in a lower position than Delenn, and he's always been kind of humble, just kind of watching. But he has so much talent and prowess. Like, he's trained too in martial arts, or the Minbari martial arts, and then he sees what Marcus had done to all of them, but then he owns Marcus in like a few seconds, and Marcus like submits. He's like, "Oh yeah, no problem." So we can have fair reason to believe that he has the same skill set as Marcus, with more strength, because the Minbari are actually more durable and stronger than us.
It's funny though, you talk about all that restraint with Lanier, and we as the series progresses, we see more. Yeah, we see more that stone resolve, that built-in restraint that he has, only goes so far, because again, eventually, even Lanier has a breaking point that we're going to see later on. But the idea that, for now, he's able to hold on, and he's able to be, to basically be that rock for Delenn is pretty compelling, all things considered.
Yeah, and that's a tragedy too, because his courting doesn't work in his favor or his desire, because he falls in love with Sheridan.
He's not getting anything. It's essentially
his restraint has more stress, because it's like, well, where's his future going to be? Is he going to be happy? Is he going to be with his love, or is he going to forever be in this position when he feels so much love, he has so much talent, he's a great fighter, he could actually do more than what he's like just stuck in? And I think that's part of his stress.
We need Lanier on Snyder Cut Fighters next season, Coach. just saying, for the Muay Thai Championship.
Pow.
The leader of the Anla Shock. Yes. But I just think, with Lanier, it's always tragic when you're dealing with unrequited love. that essentially is it, it's out of reach. But then you think about it, is it really out of reach? Because if Sheridan were to die at Zahadun, let's say, and never come back, who would Delenn have to turn to? That would be,
or if
that
she
would
would turn to
essentially
anyone
be,
else at all.
yeah. Would she turn to anyone else at all? I believe truly that Lanier would be there. Lanier would be that guy, but that would really be his only path at that point.
But even there, I don't think so, because she's older and still single in the future. So
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, that is true. That is true. All things considered.
Oh, but Lanier did die before
Sheridan.
Sorry I don't mean to go too much into
spoilers.
But yeah.
Look,
back
this
to
is
the
a show
Ceremonies
that
Light
is
Dark.
several years old. Don't worry about it.
Hey, listen, the show's kind of gotten a rebirth, though, due to the fact that the remastering is out. It feels like a new show, to be honest.
It's so beautiful.
Mhm.
It's like we look at that show and we're just like seeing it like that. It's like watching it for the first time all over again. I feel like I'm a new viewer, as big of a fan as I've always been of the show. It's incredible.
And people can watch this show and follow along with the actual show on HBO Max with us.
Absolutely.
But I want to go back to that courting system with Lanier. Because I forgot if I said my full train of thought. But yeah, I think that's what stresses him out too, because the whole because everything's been like on book with Lanier, like this is a due process, this is how to court someone you love, this is how you behave in a religious ceremony, but everything's like by the book. And I think unfortunately with Lanier, when life doesn't go by the book, he has a harder time starting now with trying to from this point on, further on, I think he starts to have a harder time trying to figure out life when it doesn't go by the book.
Yeah. Honestly, there were times like in Lanier's future, and he is an awesome character, but he does seem like if he was human, he'd be Buffalo Bill. He did seem a little. There was something.
I didn't think I would go that far,
right.
but okay.
I wouldn't say like I said. He seemed to have restraint, and the Minbari culture have, like Delenn says, we have ceremonies for everything, and Lanier was able to use that cultural foundation to keep him on the level. Had he not been human without the restraint, you see what happens with people like him with Sniper. He could easily have become deranged, unhinged, and become that crazy guy keeping her in the well.
That's a good point. Good, that's so true.
Well,
I mean, do you think Lanier would have went that far? Essentially, because I mean, again, the one thing we could say about Lanier is he's honorable and he definitely loves Delenn. So it makes me wonder, would he go that far, or would it be more of a situation where he would just continue to try to show his worth to Delenn in a way that could make him qualify in that more romantic element if he were given the opportunity? That's just.
I'd agree with you. I think Lanier, the character, the Minbari, yes, would have. He would continue to try and prove himself to Delenn and believe that his actions are his higher truth, that he will work for that, and he's willing to compromise himself to serve Delenn. And he would not do anything to cause her hurt or harm. I believe that that's part of his upbringing and who he is. Were he someone else, I mean, without the support, without the cultural background he's had, I think he could have taken a very dark turn. But Lanier, no, I don't believe he would. And it's knowing his future, it is unfortunate to see the turn he's getting.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's another tragic figure in a long line of tragic figures on Babylon 5. That's Yeah.
It's like the difference though is that we don't see his tragedy. We see it come slowly, whereas Londo, his tragedy is like he's building tragedy over tragedy. You know,
Right.
I mean,
Londo
like bombing Narn with those asteroids.
I agree 100% with you, Koj. Like Londo, it's like you see from the beginning, all the way from the very beginning of the series, you see Londo and Jakar, you see their tragedy being built up throughout the course of the entire series, where it's with Lanier, it's just kind of sprinkled in throughout.
Which does happen in life too. So this is very powerful like stories as examples.
Exactly.
You know?
I mean, I think BR31 makes a great point, but in some ways too, to counter that, we see Veer. He is a nice guy. He is a good guy. He does get kicked all along, but we see him coming good in the end. And I suppose there's both sides of this being shown in this show. Yeah, Lanier is a good guy, and he makes some very bad decisions. Things go badly for him. But I suppose what it's saying that there is both. It doesn't mean that being good you'll get kicked. You shouldn't be. This show also shows that it does happen. Being good does have a good point. Things can come good. And Veer, the least of all, becomes practically the greatest of all.
Yeah. You know.
Hell yeah. I even think he.
Go ahead, Koj. You're fine.
Sorry. I even think I have a theory. I didn't really do a lot of spoilers after season 5, because that like you all, I come to know you all do fan fiction as well. But I had a little fan fiction thing where I had a little story in mind. I'm not gonna spoil, of course, where Lanier actually dies in attempts to save David.
Oh,
which
wow.
is how he redeems himself.
God,
I have a story with that, with my main character.
Dude.
Oh, that's
because
epic.
my story takes place from 2259 to 2263, and I had a little extra story in there of how like later on Lanier sacrificed himself with my main character, my little fan fiction, to save David from Delenn. Because without spoilers of the last episode, we get a hint of something that could happen to David later. At the same time, we hear the Lanier tell a promise to Delenn that he'll make it up to her, and then I made like a little story out of that, just based off of that. What that is
to save
because
David.
I believe he's still good, even though he did bad. In fact, he punishes himself for one tiny bad thing, where Londo doesn't really punish himself for any bad thing, but that's just the type of character Lanier is. Even though he's tragic, he has a tragic story towards the end. He's still good in how he tries to deal with it and handle and make himself a better person. So even though his story is tragic, I feel he's always still a good person, just not perfect, like we all are.
Koj, I would absolutely love to read or see that done out, put out, man. That sounds awesome. Truly.
Hey, talking with you guys, I've been revisiting it, so I thank you for reigniting this love.
Hey. Go ahead.
And it's not just us. The chat are also mentioning Koj, so please do let us see this.
You already got one interested party plus 3 others, so Koj, do it, man. Oop. We lost Koj. Of course, he's on unstable signal. I'm sure he'll be back. So, but yeah, honestly, I think the one other really cool moment in this episode. Oh, okay, here's Koj.
Wrong
there
button.
He is.
He's
That's
back.
okay.
Yes,
but yeah, I heard
you got excited for you. We were all getting excited for your fan fiction, and then
thank you. I was pressing the chat, and then I pressed the wrong X, and I was like, no.
I get excited with anything that has to do with. I get excited with anything that has to do with the, with the David Sheridan era of Babylon 5, because there's so much there yet to explore.
Yeah. Well, I
was kind of hoping he would lead Crusade.
That would have been cool to see. I would have actually liked to seen somebody. I'm sure.
Yeah, why
Man.
did they have him lead Crusade? Why'd they get the guy from Office Space to lead Crusade? Why didn't they make it about David? I don't understand. Oh well.
Yeah, so let me tell you why it would be
Bill
great
Lumberg.
to have him. It's in the memo. If you get that TPS report, I can tell you exactly why he led Crusade. Okay.
Why did he leave Crusade?
Yeah.
It's like it was hard to take the character seriously too. It was just like Gary Cole.
Well, he did have the glasses, so I kind of got used to it.
Is a good actor, but it's sort of like when you do a role like that, like the one in Office Space, it kind of deflects from any serious roles that you may have in the future. So therefore, Crusade kind of suffered because of that. I really do. Like,
And I'll just say this.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Elysium.
No, I was going to say, I'm going to have to ask you to take out that ship and take out that planet too. Sips coffee.
Okay. And can I just say, because I love this song, damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
Hey,
I love that
my
song.
man.
See, we all totally appreciate the movie, but like I said, love
that movie.
It takes Gary Cole and puts him in a bit of a box, because now you're like, man, we're supposed to take you seriously as Matthew Gideon. It's like,
Oh man.
No, to be honest, he did a really great job in that.
Yeah, he was a good leader, though.
Yeah, it was a good role. I mean, it definitely. I just think that it would have been more impactful if we got David Sheridan. I really do.
Yeah, or even someone from the main cast just to lead it, just to help be more. I think Crusade needed more of a bridge to Babylon.
Right.
5. I like seeing Lockley. That was good.
I think a call to arms was good, but it didn't really push it further enough. I mean, I understood what they were going for, because they tried to use that as the bridge into Crusade, but really, yeah, I think you needed at least somebody from the main Babylon 5, universe to lead the show. I mean, honestly, they could have had Lanier lead it.
No, dude. I think it had to be Earth Force. So what about Ivanova? She always wanted her own command.
Oh, yeah, well, there you
that
go.
That could have been amazing right there.
That could have been her command.
Too much money.
Oh, God, that would have been great. That would have been great.
Take out two of the side characters just for Ivanova.
Yeah, exactly. They could have cut it down. I mean, because when you go down the rabbit hole and you look at the whole idea of there's no Ivanova in season 5, so the reality is, yeah, you could have had her lead Crusade, and Crusade would have been a much, 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 much bigger program.
Like, imagine the dialogue and banter back and forth we could have with Ivanova and Lockley. So you have a commander of a ship and a commander of a station, because they would interact.
Oh
instead.
my God,
that would be interesting.
Beautiful. Yes.
I do want to address Bureau 31's question. Bureau 31, I have already done. I can't remember if I did it with people or just by myself, but there is a review of In the Beginning on the Babylon 5 series playlist. You'll just have to scroll through to find it, but it is on there. But as far as the other B5 movies, we are going to do them in chronological order as the series goes along. So the next one up will be, and
Third Space, right?
Yes, Third Space.
Third Space is in the season 4 sphere. So
But story-wise, I'll watch it after the ISN episode coming out.
But what I'm planning on doing is we may actually do a watch party for that one.
That would make sense.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, we may do that as a watch party and everything. So, but yeah,
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
Beer 31. Like I said, it's in. I did do in the beginning. I actually did it before I started the series reviews. It was the very first thing I did. So like I said, you'll just have to scroll through. I've got everything. Everything is pretty well cataloged in that playlist. So you'll have to look for it. Might take you a little bit, but you'll find it's in there. I guarantee you. I have everything B5 related in a playlist.
I love it.
Of course, I'm just waiting to when I get to 400 to do my next watch party. But I won't say what it is here. So, but most people know. Just waiting to get to 400. I actually lost 2 subscribers this week or the last couple of days.
No!
I was at 393 and then over just the last day or so I lost a couple of subscribers, but I'm not going to do the whole thing that a certain masked man does so often. I'm just going to move on.
It's all right. I'll get you 9 more.
You lose. But see, that's exactly what happens. You lose a couple of subscribers and then you gain more. It has the same thing on Twitter.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
The same exact
OJ,
scenario.
you don't have to do that for me. I'm not expecting.
I know I don't, so I will.
Koj. Koj, you're going to get a clip, and it's not going to be a clip that you like.
If you go to Troy, glory will be yours. The world will remember your name.
Achilles! Get up, Prince of Troy.
You've been working out, man. Sure.
Wow.
Yeah, I wish I had Brad Pitt's body from that movie. I wish
I know some people use lockdown to get the 6-pack. I got a beer keg. Jeez.
Why have 6-pack when you have one good one?
Yes.
I'm with you, Elysium. Me and the mead.
Oh, mead is good. To quote a favorite movie character of mine, candy is dandy, but liquor is quicker.
Which one's that from?
Don't you know?
No, I don't remember that.
Elysium, Zod, do you either one of you know that reference? It's from a musical. It's from a musical. It's from like a 19
filmed or on stage?
Filmed.
Ooh.
I cannot remember.
I will give you a hint. It stars Gene Wilder.
Okay, so we're talking about Willy Wonka.
Give this man a beer and a Cupid doll.
I remember it. I remember it now. I remember
it is a musical.
The Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So
Willy Wonka. Willy Wonka.
No, Willy Wonka, man.
But it's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get this.
I think Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was the book, but Willy Wonka was the movie.
Yeah,
based
Willy
off
Wonka.
the book.
Well, and
Willy
then
Wonka
there was, of course,
and then there was the Tim Burton one with Johnny Depp as Willy Wonka.
I actually like that.
I don't. That's a nice one too, but I kind of lean more to the.
Yeah, the Wilder one is miles better, I think. But
here's the crazy thing, and I know we're off on a little bit of a tangent here.
Yeah, we're off topic.
We got caught in third space.
Hey, that's okay. I was talking Godzilla versus Kong the other night, and me and then
I still haven't watched Godzilla versus Kong. And I still haven't watched it. I still haven't watched it out of protest because number one, from what I've heard, and from what I've heard from people that I generally speak to, even my dad texted me and he said Godzilla versus Kong, 0.5 star. So I was just like, I haven't watched it, so I don't know.
Honestly, Zod, and this is my no BS. Because I don't give BS, and we'll get back on track here in just a minute because I want to cover this and I want to cover the other point I was starting to say about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Johnny Depp. It is a good movie. It is a fun movie, and if you go in with that expectation, it's not some great masterpiece like Justice League or something else. You will enjoy yourself.
Okay, well, the thing is, the other problem I have is that I'm not really a big fan of the director either. The majority of the films
That's fair.
that guy has made has really turned me off, especially the Death Note movie that he made for Netflix. But but like I said,
refuse to watch it.
I still haven't seen Godzilla versus Kong, but I'll have to check it out.
Hey, and dude, that's fair.
I haven't seen it yet. Zod, let's watch it together this weekend or something, man. That could be fun.
All right, man. Yeah, we could do that. Sounds good.
Are you calling Willy Wonka a musical? Brian, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder is a musical. It has musical numbers. It has singing. It has dancing. Ergo, it is a musical.
Loompa, loompa,
doompa-dee-doo.
It's not just any musical because it kind of breaks genres, because they even have like text that fly up in front, almost in the form of a music video. So I don't know. For me, growing up, it's just weird. Me as a kid, I kind of threw Willy Wonka into the category of Bollywood, where it's like a movie.
It almost does feel like Bollywood, not
necessarily a musical.
Oh my god, yeah, it does almost fall into
musicals,
that category.
The story progresses in the song, but in Bollywood, the song and dance sequence is like a break from the movie to celebrate the movie at the moment, and then the movie continues right after. Like usually in musicals, by my definition that I grew up on, is like the story or characters progress during the song. In Bollywood, there's none of that. It's just a song sequence. Like you could put a music video into any movie you want. That's just how I always perceived. That's why I was like, what musical? And then I was like, oh, Willy Wonka, that makes sense. Because it didn't register in my head.
Now I will say, and then we'll get back on topic here. I will say that in terms of the one with Johnny Depp directed by Tim Burton, here is the thing that most people do not realize. That is a more accurate adaptation of the book by Ronald Dahl.
Correct.
The version, the one with Gene Wilder, is not. Now that's not
kind of like its own thing.
It is, and
like
that's
a reboot.
Okay. Because honestly, they both, I think, are good. They both have, I think, very good scripts. The acting was very well done. I mean, honestly, for me, Gene Wilder, Johnny Depp, I think they both embody different elements of the character of Willy Wonka very well. And one of these days, as I've said many times, eventually I'll get around to it. I'm going to do a stream about my favorite musicals. And I swear,
that'd be great.
And I swear, if anyone copies this, if they are listening, I call dibs. This was my idea first.
Yeah, there's nobody gonna copy that, Ambassador. I think
I'm gonna do my Bollywood one.
I think you're safe on that one.
You would be surprised.
You never know.
You would be surprised. I'll tell you later. But
Well,
anyway,
wait. How long do we? Well, wait. One more thing though. How do we stop them from doing a gritty Wonka reboot? Because I'm thinking the next one that they do is going to be even darker. They're going to go. It's just going to be called Wonka, and it's going to be really violent and bloody and disgusting. It's going to be like
it's going to be CG like Despicable Me or a Pixar film. That's what I think the third Willy Wonka reiteration will be.
The Oompa Loompas will be like the kids in Temple of Doom.
Oh my god!
Oh, all right, I couldn't help myself. That was good. Yo, I love Temple Doom. Sorry, we're bouncing, but they couldn't film it in India. They couldn't get the rights, so they filmed it in Sri Lanka, where my family's from. So you'll see the local talent in Temple of Doom speak Sinhalese. I mean Sinhala, which is what my family speaks. And then the Indian hired actors, for the script, will speak Hindi. And you'll see that's why. You'll hear different dialects in Temple of Doom. Because it's funny, because in the end, they're like, oh, my children, when children are running to the family, you hear a mom yelling for her son. It's like, oh, puta, puta. And in Sinhalese, puta means like, in Sinhala, puta means son. But in Spanish, it means whore. So Yeah, just so you know.
Well,
That's
there
a
you
little
go.
tip.
I actually
When you
knew
watch
that.
Temple of Doom.
I
You knew that?
actually knew. Yes, I did. Well,
Hey!
I knew the Spanish thing. I didn't know the other thing. So thank you for enlightening me.
Oh yeah, it's cool because when all my homies were over at my house, growing up, and my mom would call for my sister, she's like "puta," because for me it would be "puto," so which is still bad in
Yeah,
Espanol.
bad
So then
either way.
when my mom would call out "puta," then my sister shows up. My friends would look around like, "Yo, what's she do? What's her word?" It was like, "No, relax, guys. Language, cultural differences."
I don't know. Culturally, I think an adjustment should be made one way or the other. I mean, come on, that's terrible.
Yeah. I don't call my kids that. I use different.
Oh mercy. Okay. To answer Jeff B's question, I haven't decided. I haven't decided. I don't know if we're good. The ambassadorial wing can survive show tunes. All my subscribers might run away.
Well, it is very Babylon 5. Was it Garibaldi did see us at the Purple Wombat singing show tunes in his bathtub?
There
Not
you go.
to mention we do have Marcus singing I'm a very modern Major General from Pirates of Penzance.
Yeah, so theater is already in here. It's already integrated.
That's true. And Louis X Sparrow. I'm a musical fan.
Let's talk about what's the little group that Penn and Teller played
Rebo
in season
and
5?
Zooty.
Rebo and
Rebo
Zooty.
and Zooty. Yeah.
Zoot.
It's so weird, but the longer you do it, the funnier it becomes. It's weird.
Rooty zoot.
Like at first, I didn't like. Rebo
That's
and
like
Zooty.
the
Now I love
most.
them.
That's probably like the most famous bit they ever did. Let's just be honest. It's like
If it wasn't for Babylon 5, we never would have gotten Rebo and Zooty or Penn and Teller as Rebo and Zooty. And can I just say, I love Penn and Teller. They are hysterical.
Oh hell yeah! Their show "This
I mean,
Is BS" is amazing.
They are awesome. Zooty Zoot. Everybody's gonna start going Zooty Zoot Zoot in the chat. I can sense it. Maybe we should end the stream now, quick, before the shit goes down.
I see it.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Okay. Back on topic. Is there? I might watch, but I might be. Oh, good grief! I would watch, but I might be drinking. Jeff Beast. I'm okay. I'm all right.
You are? You are? All right, good.
Rails, we don't need those stinking rails. Okay, let's try and get the stream back on course. In terms of Ceremonies of Light and Dark, fellas, is there anything we have not covered?
I like seeing Caliban from TKO, the guy who was I will stand Kitao as the bad guy here with his eye. That was the same guy from
realize that
TKO.
was him.
That's the same actor. Yeah.
That's the same actor.
I did not realize. Man, I am.
Well, it's weird. I love
game.
TKO. I've seen that the most, and I know that's like one of the most hated episodes of Battle 5. So
I don't know why. I don't know why it's so hated though. Koji, I've never been able to understand why.
It's weird because as a
episode.
kid, I saw Bloodsport for the first time a week before I saw TKO, and then I was like on fire. I was like, "Oh, this is great!" It's just the stars aligned, you know. And Babylon 5 music kind of has a '80s vibe, new wave with their music, and with Bloodsport having that '80s music, it just fit. So I always thought the Mutai would fight like in Bloodsport, which is like the Kumite. So yeah.
Actually, TKO was one of my favorite episodes. It's really,
you're
really
serious?
good.
Yes. Oh,
It's got Rabbi Kuslev, and you get a lot of great backstory for Garibaldi. You get great stories for how cultures are interacting on the station and realizing that humans are just being accepted on the galactic stage because they've only been had interstellar travel for 100 years.
Mhm.
So that is a really great episode. It really goes to show how new we are on the block.
Right. Also,
Yeah,
Rabbi Koslov, we see him again as a Membari in the beginning, and he's
Yep.
fantastic there.
As
So I like
Onan.
seeing Caliban again
And-
because he's a good actor.
Well, not to mention, Rabbi Kozlov actually appears in another great sci-fi series as a certain adoptive father of a certain Klingon officer on a certain ship called Enterprise.
Yes.
Oh, I gotta rewatch that.
Did you not real Kojak?
Well, I know Babylon 5 more by heart than Star Trek, and before Star Trek, I know Star Wars more by heart.
Yeah,
so
and that's fair, dude. That's
that's
fair.
just why. But I gotta go back and watch
he
it.
pla-
That's cool.
The guy who plays Rabbi Kozlov plays Worf's adoptive father.
Nice. Is he like reoccurring?
Vladimir-
Oh, dude, that's right. I remember him now.
Rashenko.
Yeah, no, after you said that popped into my head too. It's like, now I remember. It's like, okay.
Oh, that's so cool. I gotta rewatch that. I love Worf.
Who doesn't like Worf? Worf is awesome. Worf is life.
I do not see how.
His voice just when he talked, I didn't see. I was like, whoa, this guy's gonna kill me.
Thank you, Brian. Nikolai Rashenko. Thank you.
Hey, that's it. Thank you.
And okay, I know we don't really talk Star Trek all that much. I know a certain fella that's in the chat is going to be possibly starting a Star Trek series with a certain panelist here, and I say,
hey,
make it so.
Pow pow.
I'll subscribe. I'll be there.
Make it. Well, Brian's just going to be running it on his. Oh, that's right. It was Sergey.
Me and Brian are gonna do that. We're gonna start breaking down Star Trek.
Yes. I used to stream with a guy who loves Star Trek. He doesn't do it anymore, but he
retired. He retired.
Yeah. Sort of. He still has his channel, but he doesn't do a whole lot. He's dealing with some real life stuff, but I still talk to him periodically and anything. So I am not a merry man. but okay. But do you know who is a merry man?
How could you rent the thing anyway without a credit card?
I have a gasoline card.
You can start by wiping that fucking dumbass smile.
I've been wearing the same underwear since Tuesday.
Ah, classic.
Yeah, well, speaking of that movie being a classic, who wants to see the director's cut? Because I really do, and I really hope we get it eventually. My God. Okay, never mind.
I love director's cuts. Even like The Stars Amongst Us, that one about the kids with the terminal illness. I prefer the director's cut over that. I haven't even seen the theatrical. It was only like a 3-minute difference, but still, director's cut always.
Oh goodness. So, all right. I'm good.
Fault in Our Stars. There we go.
Pow pow.
John Candy is a legend. Yes, he is. All the truly funny
that's
people
that's another reason why we need that director's cut, man. More John Candy for real.
Oh yeah.
John Candy.
It breaks my heart when directors pass away and then we don't see their definitive work while they were still here with us, so we can say thank you to them.
That's so terrible.
Do you mean kind of like
Schumacher?
Dang it. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, John Hughes, Schumacher, yeah.
Because I have a feeling that when I see his, vision untainted version, I'm going to be way more like, thankful that he got his vision out. Because I feel like, he's a good director. He's a good visionary.
Yes.
I just feel
he had a great
politics getting away.
He had a great vision.
Dumbed down his stuff.
He really did.
Mm-hmm.
He had a if you go back and you actually look at what he really wanted to do with Batman, he'll tell you straight out that what he wanted to do, he didn't get to do. We never got to see what he originally intended. And so he met the one after that. What was it? Batman and Robin. He made that one completely satirically, making fun of the studio because that's what the
He
studio
went back.
wanted. That's why he did. That's why he
He's
did
a
it.
rebel for that. Because even though it's a musical, Phantom of the Opera was shot brilliantly.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll agree.
And thinking Phantom Opera and how he could have gone with how he probably did go with Batman Forever, I think it was shot.
Batman and Robin was Schumacher's revenge. He's like, okay,
Yeah,
Schumacher's revenge. You want to mess up my vision for Batman and not let me do what I want to do for Batman Forever. Okay, I'll give you everything you want, merchandising and advertising to the extreme. We'll give you your Happy Meal movie. That's exactly what he did.
Merchandising. Well, the
Let's
real
get those
money
butt
in the
cups
movie
in
is
effect.
made.
Man.
All right.
Yeah, and how come? And and speaking of merchandising, how come we never got Spaceballs 2: The Search for More Money?
Okay, I know this is going to be a little trite, but we kind of did, Zod. It's called the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I think so. Yeah.
Oh man, Misa busting over here.
I'll bring up Elysian's comment here. The secrets revealed in Ceremony. John admits he loves Delenn. Garibaldi is afraid. Susan loves Talia. Franklin tells her, I may have a problem. Thank you for getting us back on track, Elysium. I know I can always count on you. Yeah, let's definitely cover this point and then we'll probably wrap up. So, gentlemen, your thoughts on that part where everybody goes in and gives up their old uniform to take on the new one.
Very powerful. Very powerful. It shows just where everybody is at on a psychological and emotional level, and as well as a spiritual level. And I think it was depicted brilliantly. I would have to say that was probably my favorite part of the episode.
Yeah. Koj, Elysian, your thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, I was thinking that it was nice to see Ivanova opening up and saying, I love Talia, because it shows how far she came from throwing a telepath out of a window, not caring whether there was a swimming pool underneath or not, to admitting that she really loves someone, opened up to and loved Talia. Franklin admitting that, you know what, I have a problem with stims, that he hasn't been able to admit to anyone. Garibaldi admitting, I'm afraid all of the time. That throws new light on his character, because that's not something he's aggressive and gives out, I can't trust people. But openly admitting he's afraid really opens whole new oceans to that character. And we do see, well, what we kind of guessed now, that Sheridan does love Delenn, because he had to organize that funeral, which I thought was really well done. And yet he took time for her ceremony. Like we'll see in the Rock Cried Out, when I sweep your floor, when I sweep my floor, I'm just sweeping my floor. But when I sweep your floor, I'm sweeping your floor. That he was willing to not just do his job, but also help Delenn. And I think wonderful.
Yes.
Man, that's beautiful. Because this is because with Rebirth, this is kind of like the middle part in a way for where the rest of the story is going to go. Because as the station was originally built to preserve peace, now it's our last best hope for victory. Again, this is rebirth of hope. Like, okay, we failed one dream. Now we're rebuilding to find a new. And where are we right now in our lives other than our greatest truths? And you got Ivanova saying, I think I loved Talia. She opened up there. But then we see her go on her own journey where with Marcus, and then how late she is to that party and how that hurts her too. And then we have like Garibaldi saying, I'm afraid of everything. That could have been the most truest thing he was able to say with all the certain programming that happened to him before this. And then it's just like, that was a key moment to where we see it's almost like the beginning of the new journey or the second phase of journeys that these characters are going to embark.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
And then the
I
third one
agree.
being after season 4.
Yeah, totally. Well, and I think it's a very powerful and a very poignant moment in this episode because they needed this. They just didn't realize how much they needed this until they went through everything that they went through. For John, it was trying to save Delenn. For Garibaldi, it was him coming to the realization that even though he puts up this very jovial and sometimes very serious demeanor, there's a part of him that is always afraid. And for Franklin, it obviously is. He's like, I think I may have a problem. He's not quite there yet, but he's closer than he was before. And for Ivanova, I think it was a nice way to round out or close that particular part of her character arc involving Talia, because that revelation of her being a sleeper agent happened back earlier this season, if you remember. So her finally coming to that point and giving and finally letting go of that was powerful for her, and it will allow her to go forward. I've said this numerous times about Ivanova. I will always hold to this. Susan Ivanova is the sci-fi personification of my mother and grandmother. Minus the semi-lesbianism, obviously. But everything else is there. And that's why she is by far one of my favorite ladies of science fiction. More so than Sarah Connor. More so than anybody on Star Trek, honestly. And I love the ladies on Star Trek as well, but Ivanova is by far my favorite lady of sci-fi. So, anyway.
Nice.
Well, fellas, any closing thoughts before we wrap up for the afternoon or evening? So
great episode.
I got one last one. Is
sure. Go ahead.
Notice this is also the circle of their war council. They're trying to invite Londo to come a part of the ceremony, but and given the past season 1, season 2, everything that led up to this, I don't think they realized how much of a dark path Londo's on, but they're used to seeing him as like their ally anyways, and they're trying to reach out to him. This is kind of where he's stepping away from that circle, and they do not approach Jakar at all. He's not even in this episode because of all the stuff he's been going on and being a villain in the beginning. This kind of shows how outside the circle Jakar is, that later on when he says, hey, you should rethink of my place here, or he says something along those lines later on.
Yes,
and becomes part of their circle. But this also shows kind of like they don't see Jakar as a ally yet, because he's clearly not even part of their circle yet. This is kind of like an example of where they are in not seeing the qualities or knowing the qualities of Jakar yet, but it's going to get there. It just shows how outside of the circle he is from where he could actually deserve to be.
I'm sorry, I wonder, is it somewhat the opposite? Because he was invited for the ceremony, but he felt himself he wasn't ready. Because he said, no, I have to prepare. I have too much to do. He wanted to prove himself to the humans, to others, that we have value. And by doing that, prove to the Narns that you have value. So I think he wasn't ready to step up himself. They were ready for him and open for him, but he felt himself unworthy of the call.
That makes sense.
Yeah, totally. So, well,
I was going to say one more thing. I like that Garibaldi shot Harlan Ellison. So,
Well, now wait a minute.
I'll say no more.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, my final thought on this episode. There's much here that we have unpacked, and I think, like I said, there are parts of this episode that are difficult for me to watch because of them being. And William Jackson, you have a good night too, my friend. Good to see you, and we'll see you next week, obviously. So, but for me, even though the difficult part of Delenn and the Minbari captain being captured and tortured is always difficult for me to watch, there is so much more in this episode that we have covered here that just shows that while you can have a great episode like Severed Dreams with a lot of action, a lot of punch up and bluster and everything, an episode like this counterbalances that very, very well.
Oh, and you can't underscore that when we can figure out ways to incorporate Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in with Babylon 5. So that just that's pretty much. I mean that says a lot about where we are with this episode. So that's brilliant.
Wrong. You're not wrong. So. Oh my gosh. Anyways, well, folks, I think we are going to wrap up. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. And
Zoot Zooty. Okay.
Yeah. Zooty Zoot Zoot.
Zoot.
But we'll see. Zod, you're killing me here, man. You're killing me. Stop it. Anyways, folks, y'all have a great weekend, and we will see you all next week. And until next time, these are the ambassadors saying Zooty, Zoot, Zoot.
Zoot.